into it. So I use the tool Tickertape to be picking mutual funds. So they have this great product called Screener, and you just have to go to tickertape.in, create your own account. Very easy process. You can link Google or your own stockbroker, and yep, this takes you straight to the Screener tool. And the best part about the Screener tool is it helps you screen both stocks and mutual funds. I've used it extensively for stocks. I've showed it in a few other videos, but here we're going to use it for mutual funds. So let me show you how I did that again. Go to Screener and choose MF Screener, mutual fund screener. And yep. So there are a few filters that I actively try and apply whenever I look at mutual funds. This gives you like 1380 mutual funds, right? Which makes no sense. If you're going to actively go in and analyze each of these one by one, it'll take you forever. So go to the add filter tab, and it opens on returns. And CAGR 3 years ticked by default. I'm gonna click CAGR 5 year again. I'm not going to filter basis CAGR 10 year, but I'll still like to have it in my output because a lot of mutual funds are relatively new, maybe let's say lesser than 10 years old. So you don't want to miss out on those in your output. So I've added these three metrics here. Okay, and I'll add alpha as well. So this basically tells us how the mutual fund has performed basis, versus its benchmark. So if it's a Nifty fund based on, large cap stocks, then, a Nifty large cap is what it will measure it against. If it's a small cap fund, your small cap index is what the performance will be measured against. So this gives you, this basically tells you that the fund you've chosen is performing better than the index. If it isn't, then it makes no sense to take the additional risk of a fund. You might as well just invest in the index, right? Yep. So these four metrics from returns. Then let me go to risk. I'll add volatility and category standard deviation. Yep. So these are both measures of volatility. Standard deviation basically tells you as a whole how the category performed, and you basically want to be investing in categories that don't fluctuate as much in comparison to the Nifty. Portfolio composition, not something that beginner should be looking at. And we've looked at ratios. Okay, cool. So in ratios, the only thing I add a Sharpe ratio. So Sharpe ratio, as the definition says, basically tells you for each unit of risk that you take, how many returns you're getting. So a simple way to understand this is the more the Sharpe ratio, as in greater than 1, the better returns, right? And yep, I am not looking at P ratio, not looking at a value play right here. So cool. This is all the filters you basically need. Now let's start filtering on each of those. So Nifty in itself grows by around 10 to 11% a year roughly. And I want mutual funds that have returned at least a CAGR of 15% over 3 years. So that's added there. I'm not filtering basis expense ratio. We'll sort of sort it manually once we get the output. So let me add a CAGR of 15 as well, right? And now you see 1,083 stocks have been filtered down to 19. And alpha. So basically this has mutual funds which have sort of underperformed the index as well, and I want to eliminate them from my output. So I want mutual funds which have at least given 1% more than their relative indexes. So let me add that as well. And yep, 72 right there. Sharpe ratio, I'm not filtering basis that. Now let's go to assets under management. So I basically don't want to take too much risks in the mutual fund market. I want this to be a sort of anchor in my portfolio, right? Whatever risks I'm taking in crypto and stocks. This is how I do it. It's totally up to you how you guys want to play it. But I am looking at only those mutual funds which have at least 10,000 crores of assets under management. So this is stable funds. And okay, there was one other filter which I missed adding. So let me go back to scheme info. And I'm basically adding this exit load fee that the AMC charges at the time of exiting. Basically, you want to look at smaller exit loads. And then let's go to expense ratios added by default. And what else am I looking at? Minimum SIP time since inception. Okay, so this basically tells us how long the mutual fund has been in the market. Oh, so sorry. How long the mutual fund has been in the market, and you basically want to look at stable funds which have been around for a while. And this is calculated in months. So 112 months. See right here, basically tells us that this fund has been around for a while, almost 10 years, right? Cool. So let's add that as well. I'm not filtering based any of those. It's just for directional data. So now you have this universe of 11 mutual funds to choose from. So let's export this, right? I've already exported a version. So let's export results. I have, and then I'm opening the file. Cool. Now we're in my core competency of Excel. So let's beautify this a little bit. Right. Let's make it all professional. It's just a bit of OCD for me. I have to do this whenever I have an Excel file. Cool. So now we have this universe of 13 stocks, which have given upwards of 15% returns over 3 years and 5 years. And now we're basically going to sort these and find out which make the most sense to be investing in. So let's go to the sort function in Excel, Alt TSS, for people interested in getting a little faster. So the first filter that I'm adding is 3 years. So I want to basically look at stocks which, mutual funds which have performed well in the last 3 years. And the next level that I'll add is CAGR 5 years, right? And the same, largest to smallest. So I'm basically filtering for the first criterion I'm looking at is whether they have performed well recently. And considering how well the market was after the COVID crash, I'm expecting, we will have pretty good performers here. Next criterion is CAGR 5-year, which is basically how well they've performed over a longer period of 5 years. And so this will sort of tell us consistent mutual funds where the fund managers have shown their expertise, shown their value, and been able to deliver results over. Cool. And let me add another level of alpha. So this basically tells us that for each unit of risk, this is delivered results relative to the index. Next value that I'll add here is Sharpe ratio, and the same, largest to smallest. And this is probably the last level that I'll add, expense ratio, smallest to largest. So basically we're sort of sorting the best funds which give us the best returns with the least amount of risk at the least amount of expense. So let me do the sorting right here. Cool. And let's highlight the top 5 because I don't think we should have more than 5 mutual funds in our portfolio. It's just a personal belief, but totally up to you guys. Cool. So let's analyze these funds. So the Nippon India Small Cap Fund has given a 5-year CAGR of 20%. So you're basically doubling your money in 5 years. What about 3-year CAGR? 30 years. So this fund has basically doubled people's money in 3 years. SBI Small Cap Fund has as well really good returns in 3 years, pretty consistent returns in 5 years. And if we look at alpha, outperform the index by quite a bit. Sharpe ratio 2.16, which is great, which basically says for each unit of risk, it has given 2% returns, and then 2 times the return, sorry, basically. And if we're looking at volatility, okay, this is a bit volatile, but that's expected in small cap funds. Now, basically, if you want to eliminate small cap funds because you're worried about the volatility, eliminate those from your analysis, and then look at the top 5 here. Again, 25 CAGR in 3 years is amazing. 20% over 5 years. 24% Kotak Emerging Equity, Axis Mid Cap Fund. Again, these aren't buying recommendations. This is just one way to look at it. And alpha, as you can see, outperformed the index by quite a bit. A bit of volatility, but it's still bearable. And all of these funds have been around for a while, almost 10 years, 8 to 9 years. And if you look at expense ratio, which basically means how much, what percentage of each SIP goes to the fund manager. It's less than 1%, which is very respectable, because the mutual funds that banks will push to you often have expense ratios of almost 2%, right? Yep. So this is basically how I would structure my mutual fund portfolio. And depending on your age or risk appetite, you can choose some small cap funds, or or restrict your investments to basically mid cap and flexi cap funds. Cool, guys. So I hope this helps, and please do like or comment. Helps with the YouTube algorithm. And if there's anything I can do to help make your investment journey easier, do drop your feedback in the comments. Thank you, and happy investing.